So the NFL did the Chiefs zero favors this upcoming season. They have one of the toughest schedules in all of football, almost zero consistency to said schedule, and have been thrown the most primetime and standalone games because they make the NFL a lot of money. And that's only some of the reasons why some are worried that this season could be the toughest one yet, and I'll break them all down in today's video. On top of that, Trent McDuffie is no longer an under-the-radar star and deserves to be paid. KC also made several recent roster moves worth discussing, so let's talk about it. But first, how about those? Alright, first up, cornerback Trent McDuffie made PFF's top 25 players under the age of 25 list for the second year in a row. He's 24 years old, will turn 25 just before the Chiefs play the Eagles week 2, and get this, he's not only the lone Chiefs player on this top 25 list, but he was the only Chiefs player on the list last year as well. So, he's been on there back-to-back years, the only one, and has climbed up the ladder a bit. If you compare this to last, he was 10th on this list last year and then 5th on this list just now. PFF has some high praise for him too, saying he's the highest graded cornerback in their system since 2023 with an 89.7, and the most impressive part is that Trent went from a top 5 nickel corner in 2023 to a top 5 outside corner in 2024. Of course, this is just looking at a cornerback's overall defensive grade on PFF for what that is worth, but still, we all know how great McDuffie is here in KC and what a pivotal role he plays in Spags' defense. This year is what I think will be his best year. I mean, I'm hoping for it, because you're going to have Christian Fulton in the fold. No pun intended on his last name. They signed him to a 2-year deal in free agency. Then they drafted cornerback Noel Williams in the 3rd round of this year's draft. Plus, Jalen Watson is back in action after recovering from that broken ankle last season. All in all, there is much more talent and depth in the cornerback room this year, and that should allow McDuffie to kind of play wherever the heck he needs to. Inside, outside, doesn't really matter because he can do it all. That's where his value truly is, his versatility and coverage, and as somebody who can also blitz the quarterback very effectively. He didn't do that as much last year because he predominantly played on the outside, but in 2023, he had 19 pressures, 9 quarterback hits, and 3 sacks. He went from 7 pass breakups that year to 13 in 2024, which led the team, and he's the guy I'm banging on the table. I won't actually bang on my desk. It would sound insane on the mic, but I'm banging on the table for the Chiefs to extend him before the start of this upcoming season. And if they do, he would be the first defensive back that the Chiefs have drafted and extended since Eric Berry, and I personally think Trent McDuffie is well worth it. Brett Veach shared with the media after the draft that the plan is to get a deal worked out with the franchise-tagged right guard Trey Smith before the July 15th deadline, and then shift focus to having dialogue with both George Karlaftis and Trent McDuffie about long-term extensions. They did pick up the 5th-year option on both of these guys, so they are around through the end of next season, the 2025 NFL season. But the sooner you could extend somebody like Trent McDuffie, the better, because that price is only going up. Now, you could see him get extended before the start of the season, like they did with several players last year. Harrison Butker, Noah Gray, and Creed Humphrey all got extended just before the start of the 2024 season. So hopefully McDuffie is next. The highest paid corner right now is Houston's Derek Stingley Jr., who was drafted 3rd overall in the 2022 NFL draft. Meanwhile, the second highest paid corner is Carolina's J.C. Horn, the 8th overall pick of 2021. Horn is averaging $25 million per year. Meanwhile, Stingley reset the market all the way up at $30 million APY. So the question is, if a long-term deal does get done with Trent McDuffie, will he beat out Stingley as the highest paid corner in the NFL, or maybe split the difference somewhere between Horn and Stingley at around $27.5 million a year? He's probably worth as much as he wants, but I know opinions on this can be split around Chiefs Kingdom, with some a bit put off by the idea of that much money going to a cornerback for a couple of reasons. The first has been how successful the Chiefs have been at drafting and or developing cornerbacks in the Brett Veach era. Others are saying there are just too many players signed to big contracts. Mahomes, Kelsey, even though he's probably on his last year, Chris Jones, among others. But the reality is, if you have an elite blue chip player around like Trent McDuffie, you do not let them go. In fact, you don't let any player go that's at the top of their position. Chris Jones, Travis Kelsey, Creed Humphrey, Harrison Butker, Patrick Mahomes, the list goes on. But if they are elite, you pay them and you build around them. That's my opinion, at least. Pay Trent McDuffie and build around him. But what do you guys think? Do you agree with me, or nah, paying a cornerback in the ballpark of $30 million a year is simply too much money and could be spent in more effective ways? And then in, we've got to get to some very interesting standout facts about the schedule this year now that everything is known, from rest advantage to schedule difficulty and more. But first, I want to talk to you guys about socks. Yeah, you heard me right. Socks, because the sponsor of today's video, Bombas, not only makes some of the most comfortable socks I've ever worn, but for every single pair of socks or t-shirts, even underwear that gets purchased from their website, another gets donated to somebody in need. And for the first time ever, we have a sock cam. We're probably never doing this again, but you can see me dancing around. I'm wearing some Bombas socks right now. Freaking comfortable, if I do say so myself. Back to the point at hand, the 3 most requested clothing items at homeless shelters are those 3 things that I mentioned: socks, underwear, and t-shirts. And so far, Bombas has donated over 150 million items. So on top of supporting an absolutely incredible cause, you can get yourself some absolutely incredible socks. Dress socks, athletic socks, half calf, no-show, ankle compression, whatever you need, Bombas has your back, or rather your feet. You see, I'm a sock guy. I don't like being barefoot ever. I wear my socks all day, every day, and now that I have some Bombas socks, I not only have extremely comfortable socks, but my feet stay clean, and I know that every purchase is going to an incredible cause. Plus, Bombas has a 100% happiness guarantee, so you can get returns, you can get exchanges no matter what happens. Like if your dog, like mine right now, is sleeping with all the socks, or eats one, you lose it, it's the wrong size, whatever. And the best part is, any of you watching can experience the comfort I'm talking about while also helping out somebody in need by going to bombas.com/Chiefs, and you can get 20% off your first purchase by using my code Chiefs20 at checkout. Link is in the description down below. All right, now that we know the schedule for every single team, all the details, there are some interesting takeaways that we've got to talk about. Some of this is concerning, some of it is just more intriguing than anything else. But let's start with this. Warren Sharp of Sharp Analytics noted that out of 272 games scheduled this year, 101 of them features a team with a rest advantage over their opponent. A rest advantage is exactly what it sounds like. Let's say one team plays on a Sunday at noon, the next team plays Monday Night Football, but then both teams play each other the next Sunday at 3:30 p.m. Well, the team that played Sunday at noon has about a day and a half rest advantage over the other. With that being said, the 101 games that feature a team with a rest advantage over their opponent is actually the same amount as last year, and crazy enough, the Las Vegas Raiders are the ones getting hosed. They have the #1 largest rest disadvantage, -19 among every team this upcoming season. They already have an uphill battle playing in the very competitive AFC West, and now having this working against them, that is a lock, in my opinion, for 4th place in the division. Anyway, how does that compare with the rest of the AFC West? Well, the Broncos have a total of 4 less rest days than their opponents. The Chiefs are next with a +2, so 2 more days of total rest, and then the Chargers are at +5. So while the Chiefs don't have as much of a net rest disadvantage, they still have a pretty unique schedule that's not the easiest to navigate. Chris Sims refers to KC's schedule as intense, saying that they play 7 night games, then also on Thanksgiving and Christmas. There's not a lot of consistency in their schedule, and they don't play in the same day/time slot in consecutive weeks until mid-December. It's pretty crazy to think about. 7 primetime games, Thanksgiving and Christmas, and the only consistency they have is back-to-back Sunday noon games, week 16 and 17. That is nearly the end of the season. The front half of their schedule is pretty difficult as well. They face 6 playoff teams in their first 9 games, with those being the Chargers, Eagles, Ravens, Lions, Commanders, and Bills. Whew. Thankfully, 4 of those 6 games are at home, and the opener is basically going to be a home game against the Chargers in Brazil. I'm also glad their bye week is later this year, happening during week 10, whereas last year it was way too early. Week 6, no thank you ever again. Now, after the bye week, 3 of their opponents were playoff teams, but they play against the Broncos twice, who made the playoffs, and in total, half of those games are against AFC West opponents. The final 4 games in particular could be pretty pivotal in determining the winner of the AFC West, because they play the Chargers, then the Titans, Broncos on Christmas, and then the Raiders the last week of the season. As I said before, I think the Raiders most likely finish last in the division, so best case scenario for KC is they have the West locked up by Christmas at the latest, as well as the 1 seed, and can rest their starters week 18 against the Raiders. The AFC West is far from a cakewalk, with 3 of the 4 teams, as I said before, making the playoffs last year, and in my opinion, the Chargers and the Broncos both got better. You got solid coaching, above average quarterback play with Bo Nix looking to build upon a a pretty darn good rookie year, and this year will not be easy for the Chiefs whatsoever. So not only is this one of the toughest divisions in football, but the Chiefs have no consistency, as we've been talking about. They also have the 7th toughest strength of schedule, and if all that wasn't enough, they will face 4 of the top 5 scoring offenses and 5 total games against the NFL's top 3 scoring defenses from last year. The NFL is certainly doing the Chiefs no favors, even though the masses swear the league is rigged for KC year in and year out. We'll compare the difficulty of the Chiefs' schedule and the lack of consistency and all that to the Bills' schedule this year, and theirs is a literal cakewalk in comparison. They have one of the easiest schedules this year, traveled the fewest miles out of nearly any team. They have 4 very tough opponents, in my opinion, and they play them all at home in Buffalo, so every tough opponent has to travel. They also only have 1 game out of their time zone. All that to say, the Chiefs got to go through a gauntlet, while some other teams that are very good teams have a much easier schedule in comparison. So let me know how you are feeling about the Chiefs' schedule this year, given everything I just laid out. How confident are you on a scale of 1 to 10? Next up, the Chiefs have made a few recent roster moves worth bringing up. Late last week, they waived running back Keaontay Ingram with an injury designation. From there, he actually cleared waivers and reverted to injured reserve. So what that means is he doesn't take up a spot on the Chiefs' 90-man roster, but can still get the help he needs with whatever injury he's battling with. They don't have to provide injury updates at this point in time, so it's tough to know how serious his injury is for Ingram, but I hope he heals up quick and potentially finds himself back on the Chiefs practice squad this upcoming season like he was last year. I do think he's valuable veteran depth to have around, but the running back room is going to be a bit too tough for him to crack at this point in time, with Isaiah Pacheco, Kareem Hunt, Elijah Mitchell, and Brashard Smith all in that room, plus the running back fullback hybrid in Carson Steele. Now from there, wide receiver Justin Lockhart, who the team waived with an injury designation last week, reached an injury settlement with the Chiefs, and that means he's a free agent, and after he recovers from whatever injury he sustained during Chiefs rookie minicamp, he can sign with any team interested. Then Casey wasn't done there either, because they added to the competition along the interior offensive line by signing former Texans guard Tremaine Ingram Jr. He was initially drafted in the 7th round of the 2020 NFL Draft by the Rams, but has only played 101 snaps since then, so he doesn't come with a lot of experience, even though he is a veteran. He played a career-high 96 snaps in 2023, but then spent 2024 on the Texans practice squad, not playing in a game at all last year. The 6'1", 314-pounder out of Clemson is most likely just some additional depth for the 90-man roster through training camp, but any interior O-lineman the Chiefs add is definitely worth keeping eyes on, because I think that's the biggest question mark along the entire roster, the left guard spot. It's going to be a battle between a few potential guys right now. Kingsley Suamataia, he most likely wins the starting spot, but you never really know because he's never played guard before. Then Mike Caliendo and maybe Hunter Norzad could compete for that spot as well, with Ingram Jr. being the newest addition. No idea if he makes the roster, but in order to do that, he would need to have a pretty impressive camp. The left side of the O-line is going to be continually tested, with Jalen Moore set to be the starting left tackle for the first time in his NFL career after backing up Trent Williams in San Francisco. You can say he's unproven as a long-term starter, even though he did put together some solid tape last season when he filled in for Trent Williams after he was injured. So that, combined with the question mark at left guard after trading away Joe Thuney, will have them getting tested very early on at Mahomes' blind side. I also can't forget about the Chiefs' first-round draft pick, Josh Simmons, being added and around and potentially available as well as he works his way back from that season-ending knee injury last year. I don't think he starts initially or anything like that, but he very well could if things get dicey at the left tackle spot or injuries hit the room. There's also the idea of adding another veteran back to the room via somebody like DJ Humphries. Casey signed him last year during the season, coming off of that torn ACL the year prior, but 3/4 of the way into his first game playing with the Chiefs, he pulled his hamstring and didn't play a meaningful game the rest of the season. I mean, he played Week 18 against the Denver Broncos, but the Chiefs rested their starters, and that was all he really played. Well, he reportedly signed a one-year deal with the 49ers back on April 29th, but then late last week, it was reported that there was no agreement like his agency insinuated, and no deal even appears imminent. So sure, the Chiefs could add in another veteran to the mix, since he'd be another year removed from surgery on his knee, and he does know the system after spending about half-ish of the season with the Chiefs last year, so you can't rule that out, and you can also never have enough depth. Still though, Josh Simmons being drafted in the first round makes that move seem less likely at the moment, though again, I wouldn't mind having him around on like a cheap vet min deal. But keep your eyes on the O-line additions from now until training camp and even into preseason, because you never know what could happen. Maybe we see an unexpected veteran guard get cut by some team as they work their rosters down from 90 to 53, and KC is able to snag him up. Or maybe Kingsley Suamataia lives up to the hype as a guard, and the former second-round pick makes the starting lineup there. It's going to be one of the most intriguing and important battles to watch over the next few months because nothing is more important than protecting QB1 Patrick Mahomes. But hey, let me know your thoughts on that, the interior O-line battle, what you hope to see over the coming months, and until next time, let's freaking go. How about those?